from the lives of people in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. None of us is born an excellent beneficiary. To achieve this condition requires education and work, no matter how old you are. Indeed, insofar as it is generally harder to adapt to changes in later life, the delay of the maturity of beneficial interests may pose a growing threat to the successful use of trusts. It is a threat that we hope the practices described herein also help trustees and beneficiaries meet and overcome. My co-authors and I are each committed to the question of human flourishing, especially in families of affinity seeking to practice seven-generation thinking. That is, thinking that considers carefully the consequences of present-day actions on the people who will live 7 generations later. These families preserve and grow their 4 qualitative capitals, spiritual, human, intellectual, and social, supported by their single quantitative capital, the financial. Such families often share a common core vision of what their members can be individually. These families' members decide in their systems of joint decision-making, their governance, to give up freedom to help enhance all other family members' journeys of happiness toward each member's own greater freedom. Such families tend to practice hastening slowly, as they know they have to make just a few more seriously good decisions than bad over the next 150 years to succeed. They invest for the long term, with the intention that a later generation will harvest the hard-won fruits of their labors. In contrast, we always worry when we see a family who thinks that it possesses only financial capital. Our experience, as well as history, advises that this belief is quite unlikely to lead to flourishing. What have we learned about trusts and their functioning or failure from the families we advise? Why are so few trusts seen by their beneficiaries as blessings? First, we have come to understand that our focus must start with the beneficiary rather than with the trust creator or the trustee. Nearly all the writing in our field begins with planning for the trust creator's concerns over taxes, creditors, and control, and then turns to the trustee's concerns over administration and investments. This focus on the trust creator easily follows from the fact that most professionals have the trust creator, and not the beneficiaries, as their paying client. It is the rarest of books and articles that treat the beneficiary side of the relationship and the distributive function. When they do, often it is to disparage the beneficiary by discussing dependence, entitlement, bad marriages, addictions, or other failed developmental issues apparently caused by being a beneficiary. Clearly, this is a very disappointing point of view if the question of beneficiaries' flourishing is a critical goal. In contrast, we came to see that beginning with the beneficiary and his or her responsibilities and goals might open new pathways to his or her flourishing. We first developed this line of thinking in a book that Keith Whitaker, Susan Masenzio, and I wrote called The Cycle of Gift, Bloomberg, 2013. In that book, we described a gift or a transfer as a meteor entering the atmosphere of the recipient to which he or she had to adapt. We asked, what did the donor or transferor inspirit the meteor with? Was it inspirited with love and a desire for the enhancement of the life of the recipient? Worry about the recipient's possible creditors? The transferor's tax concerns? The long-term control of the founder's dream? Was the meteor an Ozymandian monument requiring that the recipient genuflect for his or her beneficence? One can see immediately how much the grantor's intention for the beneficiary matters. Next, we looked at the question of the beneficiary's journey to individuation, which Keith and Susan and I discussed in our book, The Voice of the Rising Generation, Bloomberg, 2014. And we reread Hartley, Goldstone, and Kathy Wiseman's book, Trustworthy, Trustscape LLC, 2012, with its wonderful stories of positive beneficiary-trustee relationships. We realized that a trust that has a deeply developed distributive function, and the distributive function is truly the key, grounded in aiding the beneficiary's individuation, resilience, adaptability to meet life's ups and downs, and capacity to bring his or her dreams to life, is the antidote against dependence, entitlement, cynicism, and addiction to alcohol or drugs, as well as addiction to trust distributions. We saw that one must begin with the recipient and work back through the system toward developing a highly functioning distributive methodology. From there, one must work